Evening, everyone. I am Shraddha, and thank you very much, each one of you, to join the webinar. And as you know, we the topic is phonics and uh, basically how children learn to read or how we work with children. So, before we actually begin, if anybody wants to share what you know or your background or your profession and how much you are aware about this, it would be wonderful to start. Anybody wants to speak about it, about the awareness? And before we actually start, I would like to tell you this is going to be an interactive session. I'm not give you a lecture here. I want you all to be part of the webinar.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Vishaka, this side.
Yeah, Vishaka, tell me.
I have a question. There is so much hype regarding phonics in today's time. We also went to school and we learned English very easily. There was no hype. Our parents did everything for us also. और ऐसा
Hmm.
कोई phonics की classes नहीं होती थी, ma'am, like it is happening today. So why is
Hmm.
there so much of hype? It is a very simple language as compared to Hindi. I find English very easy. But still there is so much of hype around this topic. Why?
Okay, I get your question. This is wonderful to talk to, but remind me to talk to you about this after the this one. Let's not start with the question. We will address this at the end of it. Okay.
Yes.
If
Okay.
I miss it, I want you to. You're a parent. You're a teacher. You are
No,
a
I'm housemaker,
okay,
but
and
I
you're
teach my
talking as a
daughter
parent.
phonics by myself only. I have not got her any tuition classes, nothing like that.
You don't need tuitions for phonics.
Yes, it's very easy. I find it.
Okay, wonderful. But remind me at the end. We'll talk about
Yes.
this.
Yes. Sure.
Okay. Anybody else who wants to say is phonics important or like what Vishaka has been saying? Why are we going gaga about phonics? Is it something to do something so serious and something to know?
Yes, because I'm very, I'm also tensed कि कैसे आएगा. But there's so much of hype. I watch other parents कि सबने classes लगाई हुई है, तो I get very anxious about it.
You don't need classes. It's very simple. Anybody else who wants to give in their inputs?
Good morning, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Myself Zeba.
Yeah, Ziba.
I am a special educator. I teach at a CBSE school. What I have, yes, that's true that we did not learn phonics during our age, but now these days, if we teach students phonics, it is helping them to learn easily. This is the basic thing which will help them to read and write the big words also by breaking it. So I feel phonics is the basic thing which helps them to read and write.
Okay, wonderful, Ziba.
Okay.
Ma'am, what I have observed, Vidya here, observed in my classes that with the phonics they are able to give the sounds and split the words. So when I ask them to read a para or anything, they're able to split the word, give the sound, and they could also simplify very easily. So I think the phonics is needed. It is also helping them in the pronunciation of words, ma'am.
Okay.
Hi, ma'am. Good evening. Am I audible?
Yeah, good evening.
Hi, this is Miss Princey this side, and I'm actually from Gurgaon, and I'm teaching in DPS right now. And I am basically the coordinator for English out here in the middle wing. So even at this stage, I feel there are certain students, who come into our school, and even in grade 8, there are certain new admissions, or even kids who are, like we term them as weak in English, but it is the base behind that is pretty weak. So I feel like till the time phonics, is not taught to children and it's not clear to them, they will never be able to connect the letters with sounds. So basically, it's a decoding technique, and it helps the students to read more fluently. Now, when they're not taught this in the earlier ages, then by the time they come up to us, they're not able to, even comprehend questions. So everything is connected to phonics, I guess. So till the time phonics is not clear to kids, they will not be able to develop, their reading skills, and everything connects to phonics. And in the later stages, it becomes very difficult to teach them from scratch. That is my perception. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear. Anybody else?
Hi, Latika this side. I agree with the Princey ma'am, what Princey ma'am said, that it helps in pronunciation, phonic sound, because there are some rules behind it to pronunciate some vowels, and with vowels, what vowels can come with when they join. So, yeah, it helps because I also educate my children at home. So it helps in pronunciation when I go for reading with them.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So I would say, quickly, I would say that reading, what we learned is the hard way. We learned the hard way of the letters. But with sounds, the letter sound association, which we call as phonics or phonemic awareness, phonological awareness, many terms which are used, these are basically a easier way to learn. And the moment I know the sound, even if I cat is cat, I don't know how c is k, because I didn't know the sound. But when you say it as ato, I am able to spell, I can encode, I can decode, and I can spell words, even unfamiliar words. If I may not know a word, it may be a new word to me, but still I can break it phonetically and spell it as per phonics. And to take what Princey ma'am said a little further, yes, children suffer in middle school because they are not taught phonics, and they are in a confused state where they don't know to go by letters or whether to go by the sounds. So by the time they reach grade 4, grade 5, they're struggling with their phonics. They have no knowledge of phonics, and letters are not helping them. So they're stuck in between. And at that stage, it is very, very difficult to change and make them unlearn and relearn, because the amount to learn and amount to work on is very high as the child goes up the grades. Yes.
Right, ma'am. True.
Okay, before we start, I want you all to see this picture, and just the moment you see it, what do you see first? Keep it in your mind. We're going to discuss this. I give you 10 seconds to see the picture. What is the first thing that you notice when you look at this picture?
Boat.
Okay. All done? Everybody's made their mind about what you saw?
Human skull.
Okay. You saw a skull. Okay.
Ma'am, jungle.
Tree.
Okay.
Tree.
Okay. Nothing else? Nobody out of the box?
I feel like the boat is hanging up from a tree. So that is something very weird for me because I haven't seen a boat hanging from a tree.
Okay. The first thing that you saw was the boat or the tree?
I saw the boat and the peculiar thing that it's hanging from the tree.
Okay.
I
Then
saw the witch face with the
Which?
hat.
Okay. Okay.
There is also this man. He's he's
We,
caught up in the
yeah,
roots of the trees.
you saw a priest.
No, there's a man, I think,
Okay.
and he's caught up between the two trees. He's entranced between
Oh,
the trees.
okay. Okay.
And tree is like on the banks of a river.
Okay. So much so in a picture. So, what does this mean? If you saw a tangled man, somebody said that you're the kind of person who catches yourself off guard a lot. You don't know what you want in life and in love.
That's true.
Somebody saw a skull. Uh, you're someone who spends a lot of time on the emotional side of things. You take a lot of things that happen around you far too personally. Anybody to agree or disagree to this?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, most of us saw the trees. You're always looking at things from a perspective of what you do not have rather than what you have. You refuse to let yourself accomplish anything. Nobody saw the fence. If the fence is what you noticed before, you're a one-sided person. Lot of things you think do not revolve around and do revolve around you and no one else. Okay, I don't think any of us saw the fence, right?
No, ma'am.
I did.
Oh, somebody did. Okay,
Yes,
wonderful.
that's it.
Niche
Uh,
crisscrossed friends.
okay, boat, which I think most of us saw. If you notice the boat, you expect too much from yourself and the people around you. You're always assuming that people have more to offer you than they do, trying to get all you can out of them. You're caring, but you don't take the time to make sure the people who are closest to you are getting what they need.
That is so true.
Okay, that was the beginning. Now we are here for something serious and let's begin our business. Okay, what is literacy and early education? These are terms which we hear quite often. Challenges faced by struggling reader, and this is what we're going to know, or we're going to touch base in the next 1 hour or so about all this. Okay, so, reading is a science. It doesn't come natural, and it is research based. There is a process in the way a child will read, or just like the way, of course, our generation, at least my generation, we didn't know this. There is a process, but now after coming into this profession and learning the new way of teaching, I can say just like the way we deduce a maths problem, we can do the same thing with reading. There are different levels of reading. First, the letter identification, phonics, blends, word families, it goes on. We're going to touch all these things. So reading, like what I said, is not a natural process. It must be taught, and lots of research has happened over the last 50 years with all these various areas of education, psychology, which part of the brain learns to read, and which is the area which, if has an issue, the child is struggling. It could be a difficulty, it could be a disability, and now it's a systematic process, or it's a proper instruction system where we have a sequence of how it has to be taught. We don't start teaching comprehension right away. Bang on, we don't start with comprehension. We will first teach letters. Of course, we learn the ABCD. Now you work on the sounds, letter sound connection, where each letter has a sound, and you know that the vowels give you more sounds, two sounds to be precise, a short sound and a long sound. Okay, so when it comes to reading, phonemic awareness, phonics fluency, these are the different pillars of reading. Anybody wants to say something? I want this to be interactive. I've been saying this. So, anybody wants to add something, or somebody wants to disagree with me? Yes? No one? We go further? Anybody knows what's phonemic awareness? Hello? Am I not audible?
Yes, you are.
I
I
think
think it is.
the
I think more of individual
Phonics
focus on
explains the
individual
sound.
sounds or something.
Okay. So if phonemic awareness is individual sounds, what's phonics? Okay, we'll go. Princey ma'am, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, because like phonemics is like the individual thing, but phonics is like the sound plus symbol. That's like what I feel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, these when it comes to reading, we start with phonemic awareness. Like most of us know that it is basically letter sound association. We know that B is B. This is your phoneme awareness. Okay, ability to recognize and manipulate sounds. This is very important for early literacy. Without the sounds, you can't progress. This is a foundation. You can say that this is the foundation. And it's the ability to identify, hear, and manipulate sounds. As in, cat has three sounds: k, a, t. This is your phonemic awareness. The smallest part of it, the very basic one. Why do you need phonemic awareness? We've been talking about this. It's a strong predictor of reading success. If I know the sounds, then I can encode the sounds and make a word, start reading my sentences. It helps with your spelling as well, and it improves your reading. Okay, now the question: phonemic awareness versus phonological awareness. What is the difference? Phonological awareness is a broad skill that includes the ability to recognize and work with sounds in spoken languages. Phonemic awareness is a subset of the same that focuses only on individual phonemes. This is what we were speaking about. Individual sounds is your phoneme, and phonological awareness is a broad umbrella under which all these come. Yes. Anybody has to say anything? Any inputs, any thoughts, any doubts?
Ma'am, can you just explain it by example that difference between the phonological awareness and phonemic
Okay.
awareness?
Phonemic awareness is your individual sounds. For instance, I say m, a, p. The individual sound m is your phonemic awareness. I know that m gives the sound m. And phonological awareness is a whole umbrella of all this: your phonics, your blends, your word families. When you encode, decode, all these comes under the phonological awareness. So the whole thing, if I would say, phonological awareness is an umbrella and phonemic awareness is a portion of it, the
Okay.
first part of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else, anything to
Yes,
say?
ma'am. Like I was just thinking, ki, like you gave an example of cat. There are three individual sounds that we focus on, but when we go to the other concept, the umbrella one, like banana. So we have banana. So there are three words. So that becomes the other thing.
Oh, that's a different thing. You break the word according to the syllables.
Correct.
Now, the
Right.
syllable is one vowel per syllable is what? No, it is. And every
So
word will have,
that is phonological. Banana
yes,
becomes then phonological.
that goes to the higher level. So
Yeah.
phonemic is the very basic foundation for the very simple what we teach our little kids of 3 years, 4 years, where we teach
Correct.
them the just like the way you teach them ABC, you teach them
Hmm.
phonemic awareness. That's the very basic thing.
Yeah.
But phonological awareness, you go to lots of things like what you said about the
Banana.
syllables that we break it,
Correct.
have color
Hmm.
coding, we put them in
Yes.
different colors. Banana.
Right.
Wherever we pause and take a breath, that's your
Correct.
syllable. So
Yes.
that's a higher order. So
Yeah.
phonological awareness includes everything.
Correct. Correct.
Phonic is the very basic where we talk about the letter sound association, or even very simply put, forget about the letters, the sound. If when I see the
Right.
letter M, I need to say it as ma. I can't say it as P, or I can't say it as no. So that's your phonemic awareness.
Right.
Anybody else? Any thoughts, or can we go further? Okay, phonics, we know that teaches students how to decode. Decode is to break and encode is to join together. When I see the word cat written together, I will decode it as k, atta, and read. And when I have to spell a word, you tell me write k, atta, then I join it and I write it. Decoding is to break it, encoding is to join it. Connecting sounds to letters. Okay, letters, the ABCD that we see, they are your graphemes, and your sounds are your phonemes. This is just technical, nothing to break our heads about. And it's proven today that students start with the systematic phonics perform better on word reading and spelling tests, because they know how to read unknown text also. Even if I don't know the spelling, if I don't know the word, I can still break it and I may end up there. Of course, you have exceptions, you have sight words which don't work phonetically, all that is there, but still 80% of your reading is much better with this phonic instruction. Okay, phonemic awareness. What are the activities we do? We segment and we blend sounds. Here, segmenting would be, I'll give you examples after this. The next slide would be an example, I think. So, segmenting is b at. I don't break it as b at. I'm segmenting at together and making it as at. And blends is br at. Br is blend. When it comes to Indian languages, when we speak in Hindi, we don't say it as br. In English, we say it as br. This is your blend. And then you have your rhyming games. Rhyming games could be when I say mat. So you take off the ma and you put ka, you put pa, you put sa. It's still you're reinforcing the middle sound and the ending sound. So these are the word family rhyming games that we have. Too much? Was it going above the head?
No.
No, ma'am, that's fine.
Fine.
Yeah.
Let's go further. Was it
No.
too much technical, or did I
No.
scare you off or confuse you all?
No, it's basics. It's fine.
Thank you so much. Okay, this is what I was saying when I say bus. So the child needs to know the first sound would be b. So they have to put in b. So we understand that the beginning sound bus. When I say bus, what is the first thing you hear? It's b. So they put in b. Cat, k. So this is how you do that. And then the same way for the ending sound. Bag. What is the last thing you hear when I say bag? So why are we doing the beginning sound and the ending sound? So that the child is able to decode, break it into sounds, and differentiate between the beginning, middle, and the end. This is very helpful, especially for dyslexics, because the studies say that dyslexics, the brain records the last sound first. So if I say bag, the first sound which goes into the brain is G, not B. So that's how we focus on this first sound, middle sound, and ending sound. Any thoughts about this? Can I go further? Okay, this is the blends which I was talking about. When you have two consonants together, BL, BR, you have lots like this. You have CL, CR, and then you have digraphs, which is the next level of it. Blends are the two consonants which blend into each other. We don't say bala you, we say blue. Hindi, you teach bala is bal. But sadly, English, this is the confusion which our children have. Bala would be blah. Brush. That's how they learn and start reading. The rate of reading improves with this. This is the next level. First was your phonics, then we did that's your phonemic awareness. Then you had your word families, and now you have your blends. This is the next level. We are going up the ladder. How we read, how children need to learn to read. Make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, like what I said, your word families. The moment I know app, AP is app, and I know the word tap. So instead of t, I change it to r. I change it to no. And I introduce my blend also. If my child has learned a blend, the child will read tra also. Tra app. I'm not reading it as tra app. Why? I'm wasting more time on it. Instead, I'm breaking it into two portions, tra app. Eventually, I'll read it as trap. This is the way to train the child to read. These are your word families or your rhymes, the rhyming words that we speak about. Once a child learns a particular word family, you can work on lots of consonants and blends with the child. Okay, little more of theory. Types of phonics instructions. There are three types, three common ones: synthetic, analytic, and embedded. Synthetic is what we all usually do. Mostly, the most common one is the synthetic one, and we break them and convert the letters into sounds and blend them to form words. Again, a cat. It's the most effective according to the science of reading. It builds decoding skills. K, at, t. Children learn the sounds and then they blend them to form a word. Analytic phonics, here they analyze the whole word to detect the phonics. They start with the word cat, then it ends with at, then they have to relate it to bat, hat, whatever it is. But here it is not effective. It's a little less effective for struggling readers because you are not doing this individual decoding. So this is not very advisable if it is the child is already a struggler. Embedded is what we use in the higher grades mostly, where you read a story, the teacher points out that ship starts with sh. This is not systematic, and this is only as per the situation the teacher or whoever is the instructor talks about it. This is not something for early or struggling readers. Yes, anybody? Anything to add on? Too much of technical stuff?
No, not yet, ma'am.
Not yet. Still okay.
Yeah.
You've not switched off as yet. Okay. Phonics is essential. We know this. Word recognition, improving your spelling, builds reading fluency. Ah, yes. We have something nice to see now. Hmm. What do we see now? I want to show you a video. Let me see if I'm able to show the video. It will be a fun. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
But ma'am, we can't hear the sound of the video.
You're not able to hear it?
No, ma'am. Only we
Is it
can
any
just
better now?
watch. No, ma'am. No sound actually.
No sound? Oh, okay. I don't know what's wrong. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing it. It was an interesting thing anyway. I don't know what happened to it. Probably because of the recording. Okay, so anybody has any points till now? Whatever that we covered, anybody wants to speak about anything or add on or disagree with something before I go back to the. Nobody? Too much of.
Ma'am, I just need to ask one thing. We say CUT cut and we say PUT put. But when we teach our child, means how can we explain them the difference? mean ki, why we why we pronunciate differently, as the spelling is same.
I agree. Spelling is the vowels are the same, but
Yeah.
then there are. I mean, we just tell them that there are some exceptions to the rule. See, when you go on teaching in when you go into the intricacies of everything, why do you write silent consonants? There is when they have no role in the word. Why do you have
Yeah.
to write? When I say walk, why will I write that L? What is the purpose of L? And
Yeah.
I have a further question. When we say that children have to spell the word correctly, anyway that letter is silent. What difference does it make if I write G, if I write K, if I write M? Anyway, it's not doing anything there. So why is walk? Why does walk has to be WALK? Why not
Yes.
WANK?
Yes.
So there are certain exceptions. That's what. See, unlike our Indian languages, English is very tricky and very fun.
And ma'am, why should we pronounce somewhere the, and why should we pronounce the somewhere, the, the same spelling,
See,
the
again,
and the?
yeah, it depends on where it starts and where is it put and what is the purpose of it. There are lots of things how you pronounce, and now added to the American influence, we have divided it completely, as in the British version and the American version. We don't say schedule in British;
Yes, ma'am.
we say
It's
schedule.
schedule. Yes.
So there are lots of things which are, and now if you are from the old timer like me, we never put a comma after and. Now the new
Yes.
system says even after, if I say apple, mango, oranges, and even after and I put a comma there, the last one also. We
Yes,
were
ma'am.
taught not to put a comma there.
No.
So there are, I mean, this keeps the confusion continues.
Okay.
And English is a very weird language. Wish I could, you could hear the video. Let me try it at the end of it again. I want to show you those two videos. So, I mean, the way you pronounce it and the way it means, it is very weird. But that's the language for you.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it is very difficult to explain the child ki why it is that.
All you can say very sweetly is it's an exception and English is a weird language. That's
Yes,
the
and
only
that is the
thing.
only reason we can
That's
give
the
them.
only thing you can say. Like what you said, ka or ta is cut. You teach
Yes.
you as a. Then
Yeah.
put is not put.
Yes, ma'am. Means my child is in second class, so he asks sometimes ki why is it that? So I only say that it is the way it is.
It's an exception. The English is a
Yeah.
weird language, and where everything is has there is a rule and there is an exception to every rule.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that we can say. See, that's the thing. Now with our Indian languages, we say what we write what we say.
Yeah.
Be it any of your Indian languages, be it regional, be it Hindi, be it anything,
Mm.
what you say is what you write. But that's not the way with English. We read something, we write something, and if any of you uh, knows French, French is even one step ahead. I
Yes.
had learned French, or like I used to see when my daughter used to do French. They say something else, they write something else.
Mm.
I said, this is even more scarier. So anyway, coming back to this, we have challenges when we teach children. They struggle with decoding and the gaps. If the foundation is not good, the building is not strong. So unless we work at the early education level, We say, what big deal is my child an IAS officer? Why school is so important? Why learning is so important at this time? But no, learning is very important in the early times where it is that's the your base for everything. So it's always, it makes sense, and the gaps can show later. Okay, and our children need individual support. The ones who are struggling, they need that one-on-one support. Okay, which are the ways to teach? Direct systematic instruction, repetition, reinforcement. See, and some simple tips. If I have to tell you something very simple and effective, why has it gone? Okay, I'll come back to your question. I saw your question. I'll come back to your question at the end of it. See, very simple, systematic repetition, reinforcement. I was reading somewhere the other day. What do we tell our children? You played it for a long time today. You haven't studied. Come sit and study. Why? Studying can be along with playing. It can be playtime also. You can learn by playing. You don't have to sit, stop playing, and come to study. Simple things. How can you do this effective interventions? We go in the car. We take our children in a car. You see a billboard somewhere. At the signal, you say, I can see an app. Can you find an app? For instance, I'm giving an example. I see 5 ass sounds in this particular picture. Can you find them? Menu card. We sit at a restaurant. Menu card. They can read. Count how many per sounds are there on this page. Newspaper. They can highlight certain words. These are all effective, simple, easy, and cost effective ones. Where we teach it need not be always sit with a book, sit with a pen, sit with a pencil, or a whatever. You have multiple ways of teaching through playway. If it's a really young kid, for phonic awareness, you can have those magnets on your fridge. You're in the kitchen, the child is along with you. Pick up more for me. Pick up sir for me. And eventually you make sir atta. So these are effective ways. I'm not talking about children with disabilities, for everybody. Simple things which we can do to improve our children, increase their fluency, vocabulary. Okay, there we are. What is fluency now? And how is it connected to phonics and comprehension? Yes. What do you understand by fluency?
Continuity in reading.
Okay. Speed of reading. Okay.
Without hesitation.
Okay. The same rises in the east west don't carry it. Is that fluency?
No, clarity.
Okay. So fluency has so many aspects to it. The rate at which you read, accuracy. I have to read sun or sir earner as son. Not, yes, it should be understandable. Rate, accuracy, and it should be at understandable. And I need to understand what I'm reading. Okay, fluency has
Mom,
these three. Its yeah, sorry.
I guess अगर phonics clear होगा तो आपकी fluency correct रहेगी.
Okay. So that's a foundation. Like what we've been talking, that's a foundation. Without the foundation, you don't go further. So the next step after phonics would be your fluency. So fluency has these three areas: reading the words correctly, rate, reading at an appropriate speed. I should not read in such a way that nobody understands. And prosody is your proper intonation, where I pause and what I express. I should have some tone of my speaking or reading. Anything else to add to this for fluency? Okay, why do you think reading fluently is essential? Because you don't have to stop and decode every word. This frees up mental energy to focus on understanding the meaning of the text. Okay, now this is something which, if I have to say, I have a sentence: the cat sat on the mat. I read the sentence and I am not breaking it as the is the, k at a cat, s at a sat, o on the, m at a mat. I didn't break it down into individual sounds. I didn't decode them. Why? Because I have become a fluent reader, I have practiced and I have reinforced. So I have this mental energy ready with me where I can understand the meaning and my focus is not on decoding. So when it comes to reading or your comprehension, you have two kinds of comprehension. One is listening and one is reading. If I have to listen, that's only 50% of the job. When you work with special children will say, ma'am, you read this. I will listen, you read. Why? Because they don't want to put their effort. First of all, it's a Herculean task for them to read because they're struggling readers. And for them, it is something wherein my effort is only on comprehending. I'm not decoding, I'm not understanding, I'm not actually trying to read the words correctly. I'm focusing only on the meaning of the text. So that's your listening comprehension. When it's a reading comprehension, you have to read simultaneously, your brain has to understand the meaning. So reading comprehension is a very complex task where we have to break it down, read the correct word accurately at the correct speed with the correct tone, and you have to understand the meaning. How difficult is this? So when a reader is struggling to decode, they often lose track of the story or the information. Do you agree with this, or you say no, it works other way also?
I agree, ma'am.
I agree too.
Okay, now we are talking about our fluency. Accuracy: the dog ran fast. The teacher says every word correctly. I am a struggling reader. How do I read? The dig ran fat. I'm not reading it accurately. So when I don't read it accurately, I don't understand the correct meaning of what has to be understood here. This is an example of your accuracy. Then you have your fluent rate. The sun is shining today. The sun is shining today with no pause. The sun is shining today. Which was better?
The first one.
The
Yes.
first.
Need not you so you need the pace. You need the rate also has to be accurate. Neither too fast, no, nor too slow, and you have to give pause at the right place. It's not the sun is together doesn't happen. The sun is shining today. And we don't break words. Shining. I don't say it separately. Today. I don't say it separately. We have to say that together. We don't break words, but between words, we have to give the correct spacing and breathe and say the word. And of course, with expression, oh no, she shouted. Oh no, she shouted. Doesn't make any sense. You read it flatly. I can't even read it flatly anyway. So there's no change in the tone. Expression is very important. And like what I said, correct pause and phrasing. The boy ran down the street to catch the bus. The boy ran down the street to catch the bus. It's very difficult for me to understand as a reader, and the other person who's listening to me, it's difficult. Any thoughts, any inputs here? Anything that you want to share? Nothing? With practice, Vivek. How do you understand correct phrasing is with practice and where it makes sense. For instance, if I say this thing, the boy ran down the street to catch the bus. So if you see it grammatically, the boy ran down the street is one whole sentence. Without the other part of it still makes sense. So you need to break with your phrases, your clauses. As you go into the higher grades, all these things come into picture, and this is all practice. The more you hear, the more you read, the more you listen. There is the answer for it. Let me try sharing the other one. Can you hear it now?
No, ma'am, it's not audible.
Nothing is audible.
Yes, now it is, I guess.
It is?
No, not yet.
Oh, this doesn't have, you can just see the video.
Okay.
Okay, what was bear and bear? If anybody can say beer and bear.
Yes, ma'am. Beer and
That's,
bear.
yeah, that's your homophone. Yes.
Hello?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Go on, go on, go on.
Okay. Beer and bear. So I think the guy asked for a beer and he got a bear.
Yeah. So this is your weird
Yeah.
English language for you. It was
Yeah.
just it is just, I mean, you have your homophones where the same word sun, the sun rises in the east. Which sun? My
Yes,
sun,
my
the
son is in.
sun, sun in the sky. Which sun? So this is a very weird thing that we have anyway. Okay. Yes, Vidya, you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. One question, ma'am. Yes. If we are going to start a reading a remedial activity with the child, how to create interest with the child, ma'am, for
Oh,
reading initially?
make it as colorful as possible.
Sure.
Don't make the child sit in a place and read. You can do
Okay.
lots of things. Start with crayons. You can do, I mean, there are wonderful ways. You can have colorful charts around. When you have a small kid at home, I'm talking as a parent, your walls don't need to have anything else at that level, where you can have colorful pictures with words, and every time they read, because I, in my center, what we do is uh, we have this, children today don't know what is letterbox. So we have these envelopes, have certain sight words. Talking about little older kids. So then we have these letterbox, and then every time a child comes, we say, okay, there's a letter for you or a mail for you. So they open the. We have the series. We know the series that they are on. I say, okay, yours is letter number 1 or letter number 4, whatever it may be, and they open that, and there are flashcards with the words. So they read those words. Yes, this is the letter or this is the mail that I have got today. I mean, you
Okay.
are creating interest in them. Similarly, you can do the same thing with, I was talking about sight words, which I have in my center, but you can do the same thing with phonics. You can say, okay, there's a
Okay.
nice letter box. We're going to get some letter, and there's a sunflower, and what is at the center? We change the letters. I mean, you can
Sure.
be as creative as possible. There's no end to it.
Okay,
And
ma'am.
trust
Fine.
me, there's nothing right, wrong in this,
Okay,
as
ma'am.
long as it works for your child. There, I have a student who loves cars, so all my
Okay.
teaching, all my lesson plan for him works around cars.
Fine.
So that's
Okay,
how.
ma'am. I understood. Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, now back to our, we continue the reason why we are here. So how do you develop fluency? Repeated reading, then guided oral reading, timed reading practice. This is what we usually do with children. Anything else that you want to add? What other, I would want to know, or enlighten me, what other methods do you use to teach fluency in reading with our children? Anybody who has done something else and which has worked, I would love to learn. Okay. Group reading. Anything else which has worked for your kids? Okay, then we are done with our phonics, we're done with our fluency. Now we come to our vocab. Why is vocabulary important? For everything, I say nice. There are people who do that. For everything, they say nice. You can replace the word nice with better words. Is it a nice day? Why nice? You can have, it's a beautiful day, it's a gloomy day, whatever you want to say. So vocabulary is very important as the child grows older, to express and to put into the written work. This is very important for your we say the child is not able to write 5 sentences about a picture. I don't have a vocab. I will say, I see a cat, I show a picture of a park. I say that, okay, write 5 sentences about this picture. So they say, I see a park, I see children, I see the sun, I see the bench, I see trees, because I don't have better vocab. So vocab is the next one, which is very important. It supports comprehension. If I have a good vocabulary, I'm able to read and understand what I'm reading. So they need to be I would say they need to be given a good vocab, or rather, you give synonyms, you give meanings, and this enriches your speaking and writing. They have to be exposed to lots of words, new words. It's not just your textbook and your schoolwork. And knowing more words helps to connect new learning with what we have already learned. So vocab, as a child grows, is very important. So, how do you teach them vocabulary, which we usually do, or we have also grown up learning that? Before starting a new lesson, the teacher would give a few words as we used to have that difficult words, and we had that in a box, and we used to first learn the meaning of those words. The teacher would explain, and then we would read the story or the text. So that's how you have this words in the box, where you say, okay, these are the words and this is the meaning, and then we proceed, so that when we are reading the text, it makes things a little easy for us. And then you use this is something very important for our little kids. You don't have to give a thesaurus or a dictionary meaning. Enormous doesn't need to mean something else. You can give it in simple words so the child can understand. Really, really big, like an elephant, if they've seen an elephant. So you use simple age appropriate explanations. You don't have to go by the dictionary. And then the other example which we can do is use it in a sentence. And the puppy was so curious that it sniffed everything in the room. Then you start asking them questions so that they start thinking. So this is how vocabulary is built. Best and the easiest way is talk in the language that you want to build the vocab. You pair the word with a picture or a real life object. Show a photo of a slippery road. Bring a sponge to explain, absorb. And you can use games, moments, fun activities. Have a word map. Would you rather start making them talk? The more they talk, act out where you do your acting out like a sprain, sleepy, giggle. So there is no end to teaching it the most creative way, whether it's a special needs child or whether it's a normal child.
Ma'am, how to improve the vocabulary for the elder child, means who is in sixth or seventh standard child, like.
The best way to improve for a sixth grader or an older child is expose the child to the language as much as possible. The cartoons that you watch it in English with subtitles or whatever it may be, and talk as much as possible in English, because the more you're exposed to the language, only then you will learn. And vocab doesn't happen overnight, it takes time. So ideally, I would say, with due respect to all mother tongues and all regional languages, all our children go to English medium schools. We are not into regional language schools. So ideally the first language the child has to learn should be English. Mother tongue eventually will definitely come with your extended family, grandparents. That will eventually happen. So the idea of me stressing on English as the first language which the child will learn is, be it your fruits, your vegetables, basic numbers, it has to come in English. For a moment, close your eyes and start thinking about something, what you will do tomorrow, or where are you planning to go for a holiday this year. When you start thinking and when you're talking to yourself, which language do you talk to yourself in? That is your whichever language. Each one of us has a different language. You may be doing it in Hindi, I may be doing it in some other regional language, whatever it may be. So the thing is, the language that you talk to yourself, or the language that you think in, is your dominant language. And if English is your dominant language, then it is wonderful for the child to think and to put it on paper. So ideally that should happen. But since you're asking for an older grade, I would just suggest, try as much as possible exposing the child to the language. You speak in the language you don't understand. First you say the same sentence in the mother tongue or the language he's comfortable with. Then you speak it in, say the same sentence in English. It's okay. Initially they make mistakes. There are errors, but that's okay.
Okay.
So it's as much as possible you have to expose the child to the language. Only then will the child be able to confidently present in English.
Okay.
Ideally, if the thinking happens in English, then you don't have to bother.
Okay.
Anybody else? Any thoughts? Any inputs? Okay, we come into the picture. How do you help as an educator and as a parent? You have to create a literacy rich environment. Good to say this on paper. Now comes the interesting part. So you have something called this multisensory approach to reading. At least my time, I learned, the only way I learned was the teacher lecturing and me listening and whatever I learned. But today you have different ways. We have sense organs. We can use all our sense organs in learning. So this is using your different senses when you are learning or teaching a concept: visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Visual is what we see, auditory is what we listen, kinesthetic is touch, the tactile part of it. And we will have some examples of multisensory activities, how it works with children, how effectively we can work with children. And this is, trust me, I love this because this is very interesting. You have the skywriting. What is skywriting? Is basically writing in the air, where it involves both your kinesthetic and your visual. Students use their fingers or the whole arm to write letters or words in the air while saying the sounds. So, no, so, no. So it helps your muscle memory for the letter sound connections. Trust me, all these ways work. This is something commonly followed today, which is tactile, which is your kinesthetic, where the children trace the letters or the words in a tray of sand, salt, or rice. Ideally, it is sand for the touch for sensory children. It could be sand, may not be clean, and the impurities, if the child is puts the finger into the mouth. So we usually use suji, salt, rice, which is edible and safe for the child. So I say cat. So the child writes ka and ta in sand or whatever the tray has, and says the sound as well. So it is both visual and tactile. Children enjoy this. You can even make flashcards of letters and blends, hide it in the sand, ask the child to search for it like a treasure hunt. It's wonderful to work with little kids like this. Say it, tap it, write it. So it's all three together: auditory, tactile, and visual. Say the word, tap out each sound, use fingers or sound boxes, write the letters. D or g. I say dog, d or g, and I write. And you have something called, if I have to show you something here, there's something called we have this thing of understanding the sounds in a sequence. So we say this touch way. So ka at ta. So always I start from here, basically for the child to understand which is the beginning sound, middle sound, and ending sound. So that's how it works. This is called touch spell. We usually say this when the child says a word, we say touch spell the word. D or g. We always start with this. So what did you say here first? It was d. D or g. You getting me?
Yes, ma'am.
Any
Yes,
confusion?
ma'am.
No, ma'am.
This is called touch spell, so that the child knows the sequence. And even if the child forgets, we say, what did we say here? This was d. Then o. What was the last one? G. And the moment you say words, once they get into the habit, they themselves take out their left hand, they're like d or g. And they write it in the sequence.
Yes.
Rainbow writing, somebody asked me about this. Yeah, banana. This is where we started, where I said you write it in different colors. Color code the ones. Her, at, the child enjoys it. Her in a different color, I in a different color, T in a different color. Maybe you can say all the first letters in red, say middle letters in blue, the last one in green, whatever it is. The child can pick up different colors. So the thing is, it stays in the memory, the spelling pattern: red, blue, green. This is how I wrote. it stays. Trust me, all this works even for the older kids when we use this polysyllable words and we put them into boxes and we make them write the correct spelling. They will know the sequence. Hayata is very simple. When it comes to bigger words or the polysyllabic words, that's where we have this. It works wonders. And one more thing which you can go is you can make boxes for the words. For instance, for the English language has letters which go up and down. Her is a tall one. G goes down. A is a small one. So you have the tall boxes for the tall letters, the boxes going down for G, Y, P, J, and the small boxes for the letters which stay within the blue line. So this way the child remembers the pattern of the boxes. If it's a tall box, obviously a tall letter comes first. Then you have a small box. So these are different ways which you can work with children. And of course, you do have technology where you have text to speech tools, where it reads a digital text allowed to support decoding and comprehension. Like what we said, listening comprehension is easier for children. So I don't have to read, it's digitally read for me so that I can just decode and comprehend what is the text that I need to follow. So you do have these examples. Technology is not always bad. So this definitely helps students. Then you have these scanning pens or reading pens, which you can scan a particular portion and ask that will be read loud by the pen. For worksheets, for tests, children can focus only on what they need to remember or work on for the present question or your test, whatever it may be. You do have software where you have interactive reading passages, vocab support, comprehension quizzes, which the children can use technology and do it. Anything here? Anybody wants to add on anything here? Too much? I should be tired, not you. Okay, these are the different things which we have already said. I'm just summing up the whole thing here. We use decodable books. For fluency, we go do echo reading, vocab. Okay, I think I am done with my work. So I want you to talk now. And tell me about your examples, your stories, which you think is worked for children or didn't work, or something which you're struggling. It's open for you now. I am done with my talking. Oh shit.
Ma'am, Latika this side.
Yes, dear.
Ma'am, I have two children. That is of one is second class and one is in eighth class. But my the elder one, I have to struggle with him in reading because he doesn't have any interest in reading. Means I tried reading with him, sitting with him, one-on-one reading, but it doesn't work.
Okay.
He doesn't want to. He just got bored in 1 or 2 days. मतलब 1 or 2 days के लिए बस ये reading करता है मेरे साथ. Then it's okay. मम्मा आज नहीं, मम्मा आज नहीं. That's it.
Okay.
So how does that can I mean मैंने इसको जैसे पिक्चर रीडिंग भी फर्स्ट मतलब जैसे स्टार्टिंग में मैंने पिक्चर जो जिसमें पिक्चर्स हो कॉमिक स्टाइल ये सब बुक्स भी करवाई जिससे थोड़ा सा इसका इंटरेस्ट रहे बट आई डिडंट सी एनी कि इसका इंटरेस्ट बैठ रहा है सो हाउ कैन आई pursue that thing.
Okay. See, maybe you could have your pair reading, wherein he he doesn't like to read because it's laborious for him. Yes. So what you can do with him is you can make it simpler, wherein I read a paragraph, you read a paragraph. 50% burden is gone.
Okay.
1 second, just 1 second.
Yeah.
There's a Andy here, so my network may be a little off track. Okay. Uh, okay, coming back to it, maybe you can reduce it by 50%, wherein you say, I read this and you read that. And maybe, yes, dear. Latika, you can hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I'm listening.
Yeah. So, and then you can do something wherein you can have one is this paired reading is what you can do, and you can
Yes.
make it very simple. Try very basic one. Start reading storybooks and say that you just listen. He doesn't need to read.
Okay.
He just needs to listen to
Okay.
you. So work on
Okay.
that. I mean, it's not going to be. See, grade 8. Obviously, he's struggling. It shows
Yes.
he's struggling. So you need to start very basic and you need to be very patient. Like what I
Okay.
said, simple things. You can play games with him wherein you see the billboard ads. You can see newspapers, TV, when there's a subtitle going. Let him try reading. Very simple and go very slow and be very positive with him, whatever he does.
Okay.
Even the little things that he is able to do. And one golden rule, never compare your children.
Okay. No,
I
no.
know it's easy to say, but then it's not. It's easy to say and very difficult to follow. But never compare your children.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's the
Yeah.
first thing. Forget about your own children. Even the classmates, anybody for that matter, each one is unique. You may not be like your brother or your sister. Each one of us is unique, just like the way I don't want to be compared with anybody. Oh, she cooks better than you, she is a smarter person. You don't like that, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, our kids don't like it.
Yes, ma'am.
So I mean, it's a challenging thing. It's a, even though you may not explicitly say it, it can come in your body language when you
Okay.
have more than one child. So
Yes.
try and reduce that as much as possible. Work on
Okay.
this, and we are always available. We'll share our email ID or our website at the end of it. You can always come back to us.
Okay, ma'am.
I want to add one more thing.
Yeah.
As after getting, if he succeed, little, so give reinforcement
Yes.
every success he
Yes.
does, because
Appreciate the small
reinforcement will
steps.
make him learn more and more. Try to give that reinforcement which uh, gives him stimulus to go further.
And
Yeah.
very well put, Gagandeep. And the stimulus need not be, or the reinforcement need not be something always tangible as chocolate. No, I don't recommend, or we don't speak about food. Maybe you get 15 minutes extra gadget time. We go out over the weekend, we get a burger.
Yes, ma'am.
So something like that, which as a mother, you know best what works for your child.
Reinforcement will, should be praise,
Yes.
star, something, some activity which he likes, painting for 15 minutes, any game activities for 15 minutes, so that he can indulge after that 15 minutes
Okay.
again same activity.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
So you can have a reinforcement chart where you have these things put up, wherein every day you're doing good. You're reading for 10 minutes. You're reading for 5 minutes. We give you a star or a sticker. We get something, and at the end of the week, we collect so many stars. We get a bigger reward.
Okay.
Something like that. I mean, all of us, when we work for the whole month, you get your salary, not for one day, right?
Yeah.
The child doesn't get for one day. I mean, one day, today you did good, you get a star. We look at tomorrow, and to get your prize or whatever is your gift, you need to work hard all 7 days, or maybe the 15 days, whatever, however you're going to put it.
Okay.
Anybody else? Any thoughts, any examples, or any success
Is good.
stories
That
or failures?
reinforcement chart is good idea. Like you can denote things which reinforcement you will give according to which work, like token money, phone, anything. You define everything so that his mind will be ready, what he has to do and what he will get. But social reinforcement will be more than the like eating and all that things.
Anybody else? Any thoughts? Any failure stories? Any success stories? Or any negations or corrections of what I have done? Even I have to learn a lot. I'm not saying I know everything.
Ma'am, how to improve vocabulary for like writing comprehensions or something like that?
Vocabulary, again, you expose the child to as much material as possible. They listen and see. One simple task which you can do, I write a word as beautiful. I give you 5 days. Try and find as many. You're not going to cheat. No Google, no dictionary, no gadgets. You're
Okay.
going to try and remember what are the synonyms of beautiful.
Okay.
If I say she is beautiful, I want you to find as many synonyms. May not be overnight. When you make a note somewhere or put it on a board or something like that, write the word beautiful. I'm giving you an example. And then tomorrow the child says cute. I write cute. Then
Hmm.
again, after some time, I remember some other word. So that's how you build over time. These things don't happen overnight.
Yes, ma'am.
First thing is patience. Like what I said, the best way and the without any effort is speak in English.
Okay.
The moment the child speaks mostly in English, it's wonderful.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else? Any thoughts? Any inputs? I think we are done. No doubts, no questions. I think we can call it a day. Thank you so much for your patience, for your time, for joining and bearing with me. It was wonderful. Hope to see you further in our future endeavors as well. Thank you, each one of you, for joining.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for this wonderful
Thank
session.
you,
As
ma'am.
we have these queries, but there is no group. Sometimes we are hesitated to talk about that. If we are not able to teach our students in phonics and all this stuff. But you did very commendable job. It is clear everything right now. Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much.
much. Thank you so much. You can all leave the meeting. I'll wait till the end and then I'll wind it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.